Via Corolla. Purgster delayed.
Welcome to The
Rampart.
Walking Dead Saints and Sinners.
Purgster delayed.
We're playing the Rift version and we're playing on an Oculus Quest 2.
Early bell.
I've done a video about
The war.
tips and tricks. This is going to be a video about getting started because tips and tricks
113
was kind of
eradicate.
a little past the
Rampart.
basics. So this will be the basics. This is the bus. This is your bus. If you play this game, you're going to love this bus because the bus is your fortress, your castle. Decorate it, stock it with weapons. The bus is great. When you end a day to save the game and go to sleep, you drink from the flask. Just hold it up to your mouth. You'll hear a little chug-a-lug and everything will go dark and you'll have a nice rest. You got shelving to put stuff on. You got boxes to put things on. This is your recycling bin where you put scrap. Don't put anything you want to keep in there because you can't get it back. That's for scrap, salvage. Most things can be salvaged. There's some unique items that can't be, but once weapons are of no more use to you or you don't want a weapon in the first place, you can scrap it. You can see what kind of salvage material things are just by holding them up and looking at them. These are sterile bandages. I could use these to bandage myself. We'll get into that later. Or I could scrap them by just dropping them in here, and I would get 2 antiseptics, 1 binding, and 1 adhesive. And that allows us to craft various things with those ingredients. This is storage. The storage will stick around. We have 2 pages of slots in this foot locker or chest. Just hold things until the circle lights up and then let go, and then they're in that circle. Grabbing is like most VR games. You want to use the middle trigger on either hand to grab or point, right? So that's one type of storage. There's a couple types of storage. Anything you leave in the bus is gonna be here when you wake up or when you get back. The only thing is, if you leave things, I found if you leave things on the table or on the shelf over here, they can get a little mixed up. I call that the weapon gnomes come and kind of move things around sometimes. And sometimes you'll find things that someone has left for you. I believe NPCs can leave some gifts for you in the bus. I think I've found that. So you have your chest here for small items. For weapons, you want to use either the table, the chair, anywhere really. Some people shoot arrows into the wall and then put boards on them and then put things on top of the boards as shelves. But also you have weapon slots here. You've got 4 for large weapons. Again, just hold them up. You see this white shape. Let go and they'll snap into place. 4 large, 6 small in 2 rows, and then another 4 large over here. So that's kind of your go-to weapon storage. You can also store things on your person, and that will stay with you through saves. That is, you have a slot on each hip, you have 1 slot over your right shoulder, and then you have everything in your pack, which the size of your pack will change throughout the game. You get a little extra space, you get an extra large weapon slot, but let's just head out of the bus. That's the bus. The bus is your castle. So let's get to the pack again. So you start off with 1 large space on the side for a large weapon. That's basically things like axes, a katana in this case, or baseball bats, anything that's 2-handed or long. And then you have small items in the pack. Once you level up enough, you get a second large slot, and that shows on the other side. And I think you get an extra page of smalls. So you have 4 in total at the end of the game, but I think maybe you start with 3. And I have that full up with kind of medical supplies and stuff. But usually you don't fill it up with medical supplies, you fill it up with salvage. A couple medical supplies, maybe some extra weapons when you head out, but then you leave a lot of room for salvage. At the end of the pack, there's a last slot or last page for task items. You can't put things in here, things just go in here automatically when they're quest items that you need to keep. Things like keys and parts various things that you need to progress the story, and you can't drop or whatnot. They'll like snap back to you and end up in here if you try to leave them. The auto slot here is if you don't really care which slot things go into, you just want them to go into a space, you can just drop them in the auto and they'll go to a space if there is one available that fits that size of item. So that's storage. You got the bus, you got your pack. You can leave things around here in this space and they will stick around. It kind of depends on what it is. Things like zombie parts might not, or walker parts I should say, but weapons should. What else do we have? On your person, so you got your backpack, you got a long weapon over your shoulder, which I can put one of these katanas over my shoulder, and then you just reach over your shoulder, use the grab, and that's going to pull it out, whatever it is back there. It can be tricky sometimes to put things over your shoulder there. If you don't get your hand fully over your shoulder, they'll just fall. So make sure you hear the sound. Different weapons have different sheathing sounds or slinging sounds, and you'll see the indicator in purple there that says it's stored. So watch for that. Don't leave weapons behind. Be cognizant of when you're putting something away that it actually goes away. So you have your hip holsters, you have your backpack, which is over the other shoulder, and you just pull it out like that. You reach behind and grab, and you got your pack. Let go, it just goes back. On your right, the right side of your chest, you have a flashlight. Grabbing it does not turn it on. The trigger turns it on, and it will eventually die out, and then you just shake it and it goes back on. You can leave it on your chest, and then it'll turn with you. But a lot of times you'll be holding it and then letting it snap back to your chest to fight. So just let go, it goes back to your chest. On the other side of your chest, the right side, is your notebook. Your notebook is where you're going to find your task list and details. So you'd select from the task list and it'll show you kind of quest details, what to do next. Tracked recipes, we'll get into that here. Tracked recipes aren't that important, especially early game. Tourist report, this is just kind of your general inventory and vitals. The map is pretty important, especially early game when you're not used to the locations. When you end up at a location, first thing you want to do is check the map, and that way you'll know where you're going, hopefully. You'll see maps of areas will have colored houses, colored locations, and those are the locations that you can actually go into. These types of gray locations, there's nothing to do there. Right, so you want to look for pathways or roads and then colored locations. The last section of the notebook is for notes. You'll collect recipes throughout the game, you'll collect notes from people, you'll collect drawings from people, letters from people, codes, all of that will be found in the back of the book here. So if you collect a code for something like a safe, it'll show up in codes, and then when you find that safe, you pull out your notebook, go to notes, go to codes, you can open the safe with the code from here. You can also take things out of this section. So sometimes you'll have to give things to characters. So you select it in here, it shows up here. This dotted outline means you can grab it and you can actually place it in people's hands if they're asking for something. If they're not asking for something, you generally can't give them anything. So let's talk about crafting. These three stations are the crafting stations for the game. I'm not going to get too close. I don't want to reveal too much of what's been unlocked. But you have your survival station here, which is things like bandages, medicine, bows, arrows, buffs as far as food that give you stamina or give you health, and things like that. And then special unlocks, the last row, the 5 sheets along the bottom. Those are things that you find throughout the game or you unlock throughout the game. The top 2 rows you unlock through leveling the station up, and you level the station up by finding enough salvage that matches the station, right? So you can check the sheet of the station. Oop, went too far. And it's going to tell you here what you need to gather as far as salvage to level up that station. The levels go from 1 to 10. 10 maxes them out. So throughout the game you want to max out all the stations, and then you'll have access to at least all the level unlocks, and then you'll go around finding these special unlocks, which are the bottom row, and those 4 there. So that's survival station. Over here is the firearms station. Things like pistols, shotguns, rifles, all that good stuff is over there, ammunition. And then you have, I believe, the melee or equipment station. This is things like explosives, some hand-to-hand weapons, a little bit of a catch-all on this side. It also has things like stamina buffs and strength buffs and your extra storage, extra speed. So this is a really good one to level up early because you can get extra backpack storage and you can get extra speed, and that's going to help you gather more salvage so that you can, level up all the stations as you go. So you start early in the game. You start off with, a 30 caliber pistol. So I've got one of those. It's got 6 rounds, and a shiv, which is one of the crude hand-to-hand weapons. So to make other items, all you do is you have to have the salvage material. You go over to a station, you grab the item, the recipe off the shelf, and then you click build. It's going to appear there, and then you take it. So NutriStew builds up your stamina. Stamina is very important in the game. We'll get to that. But this is NutriStew. These 2 bars at the bottom of the screen, the top one is your health. The bottom one is your stamina. Now, you can see there's a little line on each. That's the max, current max. So our current max stamina is right there. So as we do things like run around, and it's not going to happen here while we're in our home base kind of thing, but when we go to a location, that's going to drop down, and the only way to increase the max back to up here is to do something like eat one of these NutriStews. And you do that by just holding it up to your face and chowing down. Good stuff. And you can see that moved our max stamina up. Same with health, just different item is going to bring it back. Health going down, the max health going down happens when you kill an infected walker a little too close to you. These are walkers with flies around their heads. When you kill them, they explode into a pestilence of green mist, and that reduces your max health. That's really bad. So you want to take those walkers out at a distance, because to increase your max health, you need to find medicine. And medicine is one of the rarest things to find in the game. Eventually you can craft it, but this is medicine. You can see medical cures some sickness, max health plus 25. So that's going to bring up that bar on our max health. The way that you actually bring up your health, not your max, just your current health, is through bandaging. And that's what these are. To heal yourself, you want to grab a bandage. This is a sterile bandage. You can find dirty bandages, but they can actually get you sick, which is going to affect your max health. A bandage, if you have the time, you want to back off from any sort of combat, find some space, hold out an arm. You can see there's a little glowing blue indicator on our arm, and then you just start moving one hand around your arm, and that's going to raise up your health, and that's bandaging. And you can keep doing that. Eventually you can unlock a bandage that increases your total health, but for most of the game you're going to have bandages that takes 2 or 3 of them to max out your health again if you're in a rough spot. Generally, if you're worried about health, you're in big trouble, because it's probably hard to get away at that point to bandage. Okay, so we've got a pistol, we've got a shiv. When you're heading out, and we'll do that in a second, to a location, you want to have at least a long-range weapon, and hopefully a backup long-range weapon, a hand-to-hand weapon, and at least one backup hand-to-hand weapon. And that's because weapons have durability. See this here, this white bar beside the weapon? Weapons all break. So, and surprisingly quickly. So you have to have backups. The concept of this game is based around panic. If none of the weapons broke, you wouldn't have to panic, because you could just keep stabbing your way through things or shooting your way through things. So the developers created a system where the durability always degrades. You're always going to have weapons breaking, so you need to have backups. I've been at this for a while, so I'm not going to worry too much about backups. These both have a lot of durability right now. But generally, if I was actually playing the game or new at the game, you want to have at least one backup for your hand-to-hand weapon and at least one backup for your ranged weapon. Because you want to take out those infected walkers, the green ones with flies around them. You want to take them out at a distance. You can throw knives, but that's not the best distance weapons for taking those out. Alright, so in our pack, we've got lots of bandages, we've got lots of Nutri-Stew, we've got some katanas for hand-to-hand. They're about to break. That's why this is glowing red. You can see the white bar, which should be durability, is gone. So one more hit and this katana is going to break. So we can show you that when we get somewhere, and we'll try to break it on a walker. So let's see, we've gone over our notebook, we've gone over our flashlight, we've gone over our backpack, we've gone over healing, we've gone over health, stamina, some crafting. Let's go over some firearms. Maybe we'll go over to the range over here, as it were. There's this little shooting range, I guess, archery range here in our home base to practice. So firearms are, at least for most of the game, underpowered. Is that a bow over there? Huh, I don't think I ever noticed that. Or I left it there at some point. Firearms are underpowered, and that's again so that the game creates a panic. If you could just shoot everybody at a distance really easily, it'd be a different game. That's not what this game is. This game is about managing your reactions and keeping calm when you're being stormed or overrun. So this is a 30 caliber. The way that you reload weapons in this game is you press the button on the controller, not the triggers, one of the buttons, and that's going to open the action on the weapon. And then you're going to go down to right in front of your belt buckle here is where all the ammunition is. Now this is kind of dark over here. Let's go somewhere that's a bit brighter. There we go. For a revolver like this, you're taking rounds out. Oh, it's full. I can't take any out because it's full. That's one of the things. If the weapon is loaded, then you won't be able to pull any ammo out. You can only pull ammo out when the weapon has space to put more in. So we'll just fire off a round. Now you saw a shell drop out or a casing. That's fine. Now we can pull out a bullet. So we've got a bullet in our hand, and we've opened the weapon, and we can slot it into the empty cylinder there. And you can either press the button to close the action again, or for revolvers, you can just flick it back. Every weapon, or every type of weapon, is going to have a slightly different reload mechanism. So you're going to want to practice those, take some time to figure out exactly what it is before you go into combat with that weapon. For something like the revolver, you got 6 shots. Open it up. You can hold it really close to the ammunition section here, or the ammunition grab point, and just kind of slot bullets in like this. Grab, let go, grab, and there you're full. And you can see the back of each round in their chambers there. And then we can flick it back in. I generally don't recommend flicking it closed, because that can you might make a mistake and it might not close, whereas the button is going to close it every time. Sometimes there's a walker in front of you, you're trying to flick like this or like that, and the weapon can catch on something and you won't get that flick, you won't get it closed. And that's part of managing panic, is making sure that what you want to do gets done rather than only partially done, and then you're in trouble. As you can see here, we've fired off a couple rounds, so actually the durability on the firearm has gone down. And when that reaches 0, this will break. We won't have this gun anymore. Now, when aiming, if you can, you want to take the little front sight bead and put it in between the 2 other white dots at the back. That's the traditional aiming. For iron sights like this, take the sight on the front, the ball, and you put it between the 2 white dots at the back. Put the ball in the bucket and shoot. Don't try to take long shots, at least not in early game, because it's really hard to hit them. The guns have waver, and just the game is engineered for guns not to be that effective. And if you rely on them like that, You're going to end up missing. Walkers are going to get close. You fire off rounds and miss. The durability on the gun's going to go down, and then before you know it, your gun's broken and you're getting swarmed. But we'll talk about how to handle that when we actually go to a location. So in the game, you go to various locations on the map using your skiff. Now the game saves every time you either sleep or travel in the skiff. And then you can go back and reload different spots, I think up to 10. Can't go back forever, but you can go back something like that, 10 slots. So as soon as we go somewhere, it's going to drop a save right when we start, and then we'll have the opportunity, if we die, to continue or restart from that point, or reload it. On the map, this is all the locations unlocked, but you're going to unlock them in a progression throughout the game, and then you'll have access to all of them. To avoid any unnecessary spoilers, we'll just go to the first location that you unlock in the game, and that's the Shallows. So you hold up the map, put a finger on a location, and pull the index trigger, and that's going to have you travel to that location. Now, once at a location, first thing you want to do is check your map. That's going to show you where you are, where that little purple arrow there. Now, I believe all the locations, maybe except for one or maybe at different points in the game, but most of the time you're going to have 2 skiffs, so 2 exits out of all the locations. So we have one here that we just got off of, but if we find ourselves over here, we can go to this skiff to get back to the resting place, which is our bus. So keep that in mind. As I mentioned, colored spots, like this blue structure here, that's a building we can actually go into. The rest is just kind of streets and porches and alleyways and things like that, but you won't really be able to go into any of these other buildings. The other thing to know about traveling to locations is the bells. We have a watch here with a bell on it. Now there's a faction in the game that rings bells to stir the herd, to angry up the walkers, to boil their blood. So when they ring the bells, the place fills with walkers, and basically you have to leave. You can try to fight. I've fought them for a half hour, and it doesn't seem to end. So the game is really made for you to spend about a half hour in the location to get everything done, and then you got to be back to the skiff. So the way that it does that is you get a chime when it reaches half. Down here, it's this green part that's already receding. It's going to chime at half time, and then it's going to chime at a quarter of the time left. So when you should already be heading back to the skiff or be wrapping up when it chimes a quarter left. If you're still out in the middle and you think I can go do this, I can go finish this, you're probably wrong, and you're probably going to end up dying, unless you really know what you're doing. So manage your time. Try not to be too stealthy, because you have to keep moving to get things done. The other thing about locations is some locations have quests, and you want to start a quest and finish a quest within the same travel time to a location. If you start a quest but don't finish it, that quest is gone. So really prioritize quests. If you've tried the quest and failed, try to plan out your next attempt at the quest and get the quest done first. And then you might have some time left over to find more salvage or explore a bit. But you want to get the quests out of the way, because, like I said, if your quest gets interrupted by the bells and you traveling, you can't just go back to that location and continue the quest. That quest is gone. You might find keys that are gone that you picked up but you didn't use. What happens in those cases is those doors that those keys were to will be open. You just don't get the character interaction anymore. The game is really good at not blocking you from things. The idea of saints and sinners is that you can be a saint, you can be nice to people, or you can be a sinner. But whether you're a saint or a sinner doesn't block you from very many things, maybe not anything in the game that I'm aware of. Eventually you can access all of the items, all of the weapons, all of the crafting things, regardless of how you treated everyone. So be a saint, be a sinner, be the devil, like I am in a playthrough. Your choice. Don't worry, it might block a weapon at that point, but then a couple days later you'll find that weapon anyways. Okay, So that's the bells. We've also got our health on top, and we've got our stamina on the bottom, or vice versa. White is stamina, I think, and the green to yellow is our health. So, combat. Let's talk about combat a bit. A couple tips about walkers is going to make the game a lot easier. Number one tip, you can grab them by the head, which you should do, and either kill them or push them away. That's the number one way to deal with walkers. The exception being the infected walkers, which you can still grab them and push them away, but you don't want to grab them and kill them right in front of you. You can grab them and hold them, talk to them, give them a little kiss, whatever you want to do. You can hold them as long as your stamina... Hold on, I'll get to you. As long as your stamina holds out, right? If your stamina runs out, then you're not going to have any energy to do anything. The walker's going to have the upper hand, and they're going to kill you. Or maul you. We've got two coming. So we want to kill that one to give our stamina a chance to come back. You see it's coming back now? And we can accept our next customer. Stamina starts going down again. So walkers are killed by stabbing them in the head. You can hit them, not going to do anything. You got to stab them. Just like that. So by holding the head and stabbing the head, you got your best chance at actually braining the walker in one blow. There's other ways you can just... They'll probably keep spawning over there, so we'll stay here. You can throw the knife at them or the shiv at them, but then you might miss, drop it. If you just try to stab them without grabbing them, the knife might not go all the way in. And when that happens, you use more stamina to actually jam it all the way in and pull it out. You use stamina both to attack and to pull the knife out. Down the road in the game, you get a knife that comes out without stamina. You can do things like certain weapons can behead the zombies or the walkers, and that doesn't use as much stamina. So in combat, stamina is the number one thing. If you run out of stamina, you're probably going to die. Now, things like running, which is done by moving in a direction and then depressing the analog stick, that's going to take stamina too. It's also noisy, so you generally don't want to do that very much. If you have to run, you're probably in more trouble, and just try to get to the skiff. Usually you're better off standing and fighting, trying to be calm, managing your fighting. I'll show you what happens when you hit the wall, as I call it, which is your stamina runs out and you're basically out of energy and you're at the mercy of walkers. And that actually affects how fast you can pull up a weapon and whether or not you're actually able to stab a walker with that weapon. So I just want to make sure there's no walkers coming when I do this, because I don't want to be caught with my pants down, so to speak. But I'll try to pull out my knife, and you'll see how slow it goes once we're out of stamina. There's the wall. So you can see how kind of labored that stabbing is, and that means you actually won't be able to kill a walker, and the walker will kill you, or will maul you at least, and you'll lose some health. So you always want to manage your stamina, give yourself time. A lot of times that means pushing the walkers away and backing off. That's probably the best strategy. I heard somebody talking. This guy's going to beg us for something or other. We got a walker coming over there. We'll just shoot this guy. When you're encountering humans, they have kind of... if they're aggressive to you, they'll have meters above their head. If they care about you coming into their space, they'll start with a little yellow kind of circular indicator, and as that fills up, that means they're noticing you. They've heard a sound. They'll usually say something like, "What was that?" We'll let these walkers come in here and I'll take care of them. Once that kind of alert indicator fills up, then they'll realize where you are. It'll change to red, and then they'll attack you. The other time that occurs is with these beggars. They'll ask for something, or they'll try to rob you, and if you pull a weapon, that's when their indicator will go up, and they'll tell you to put the weapon away. If you don't, they'll attack you. But generally, you have enough time to kill them before they even finish their kind of, don't do that indicator. You saw with that walker, it took a couple tries to get the shiv in.
My
This guy.
daughter has not been able to
So this
break
guy's
her
just
fever.
begging.
I'm worried sick. Please. Do you have any medicine?
So he's asking for medicine. Generally, you don't want to give up medicine.
Medicine
You
is
have
what
to have
I
a
need.
real,
Please.
oversupply of medicine if you're going to give it away. It's a toss-away session for me, so I'll give him medicine.
Thank you.
He'll usually give us
From the
something.
bottom of our hearts, I want you to have this.
This is like packaged salvage. This is the best stuff to get. Box of stuff, and you can see it has a lot of materials in there. So we'll throw that over our shoulder. When you hear that sound, that ka-chink, that's the good salvage sound. So let's try to get some push away going. So we've got 2 walkers coming up here. 3 maybe. And we're going to hear the chime for the half bells. You want to keep checking that. So to push walkers away, just grab them by the head and push back. Pull in a bit, push back. That's it. So let's see if we can push them back. My stamina recovers. Push this guy back. We'll stab him. When you got 2 coming on like this, you want to push one away. Kill the other. Then you have time to deal with this guy. This guy has armor. So for armor, somebody else is coming too. You have to look for the hole in the armor, because if you just aim at the front there, you're going to hit the helmet and it's going to deflect off. So our shiv is getting low. We're attracting a lot of attention for some reason. See, backing off, you get your stamina back. You can just keep pushing walkers away. There's no need to panic. Now, if you do get, we can let this guy take care of the walker. But if you do get mauled, all you got to do is raise your hands up. Gives you an indicator. But that's all you have to do. We didn't even lose any health there, although I think I smacked something on my ceiling. Here's another helmet, so you gotta look for the soft spot. Okay, now we're in trouble. You gotta push and then back off. Get our stamina back. We'll keep pushing. Backing off. We got all our stamina. There we go. So now our stamina, our max stamina has gone down. That happens when you've been out for a while. So in that case, we'll grab a bandage. Oh, not a bandage. What am I doing? Can we take that off? We'll put that back in our pack. Not a bandage. We want a Nutri-Stew for stamina. That's one of these guys. Bandages for health. Nutri-Stew for stamina. There you go. We got our stamina back up. You heard the chime for the bells. What else can we look for? We can talk about climbing and the environment to a certain degree. We're going to have to use the pistol from here on in, I think, as that shiv's about to break. You can pick up weapons. Things like bottles, you can break them and use them as weapons. Alright, so we just lost. We just lost our shiv. Here's a bottle that we can use. I mean, bottles they work, but they're not the best weapons. They certainly won't last a long time. This one is already, red. We can sheath it. When you see most locations that you can go in have multiple entryways, sometimes beneath, sometimes second floor. When you see this type of white paint on a structure, usually means you can climb it. And here you can see there's an open window. We can climb up actually this downspout, or we can crouch and we can go underneath this house. So for climbing, you want to make sure you have a good amount of stamina, and then you're just going to grab, let go, climb hand over hand. As best if you're playing a climbing game. And you can see if we stay here, our stamina is slowly going down. So you're pretty safe when you're climbing. I generally haven't been shot while I'm climbing, and you can pull out a weapon and shoot while climbing. So you can kind of pull yourself up and then shoot. We don't need to be in a house, so we can actually just drop back down, and we're gonna get hurt. Oh, that hurt. It's not showing it hurt very much on our health. So that's climbing. We'll grab another bottle. You can distract walkers with things like bottles and cans, throwing them away. But generally not if they've already noticed you. If you have a weapon, you can press the button on the controller to actually flip the orientation of the weapon. You need that quite a bit for knives, or if you just want to kill walkers with a different style, you can flip your knife around and do that. Right, you can either bring them like this or like this, and we'll try both ways. Crouching is gonna make less noise. Obviously, this is a more stealthy approach. That noise is that they've noticed us. They're gonna come over. There's no sense in being stealthy once they've noticed you like that. That was a sick one. I shot her too close, and you can see our max health went down. So the only way to get that health back up is with medicine, and we gave our medicine away. So that's no good for us. Like I said, it can be difficult to find medicine. I'll show you what distance shots look like. Okay, well that's the exception to the rule, I guess. Refill ammo anytime you have a chance. If it's a weapon with a magazine, you can drop that magazine out. If it's got spent rounds, or if you've spent some rounds, drop it back into your ammunition area in front of your belt. That's where any ammo you grab you can put there, and then pull out another magazine. That magazine will be full. You can see that took 3 shots when that walker was pretty close. Using weapons also brings more walkers because of the noise. See that grabbing them and shooting is really the best policy, unless there's multiples and you're going to get mauled from a different angle. So that's a sick one. This one is not, as far as I can tell. No, he was. It can be sometimes hard to tell whether they're infected or not. I mean, I guess they're all infected to a certain degree, but those ones are going to affect your health, and now our health is suffering quite a bit. So we're at a quarter to the bells, past a quarter to the bells. So at this point, you should be finished everything in this location. If you're not, it's too late really to do anything, or you're going to get trapped. So we'll just start heading back to the skiff, deal with a couple more walkers on the way maybe, and we'll see what the bells sound like. Another one came out of there making some noise. Hey buddy. This one's shy. Kind of hesitant to go in here because there's usually a couple of them in here. You can see the bottle's glowing red. It means our durability's down. Oh, that's you. That's the beggar. He's just hanging out. Thought it was a walker. You can climb up on cars, and that actually the walkers can't get you on top of cars. Although, you got to get down at some point, and they're not going to go away. You can hear I'm coughing because I'm sick in game. Now, even if we use bandages, we won't be able to get our health higher than that. So it's really important to identify those infected walkers and take them out at an appropriate distance. If you're out of stamina, you won't be able to use your weapon. The gun will come up something like this, and then it'll be like this. You won't be able to shoot, so don't rely on that to get you out of a jam. For two-handed weapons, since we have one, this is going to break, so we'll only get one chance at this. You can behead walkers, and that doesn't take, you can see my stamina didn't even budge there. So once you get weapons that can do that, things like a cleaver, there's some special weapons, and obviously any sword type weapons will be able to do that. I don't think I'll be able to throw this bottle, but I can throw one of these, but you want to switch your grasp on it. It's also going to break. Throwing, you have to aim for the head, but it's a little more forgiving. You can see I didn't even really get that shot very well, and it still hit him in the head. You can pick up zombie parts, take them with you if you want. You can beat zombies with or walkers with their own limbs. Can't kill them with them, or I haven't been successful at that yet, but you can try. So that's about it for the basics of The Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners, one of the best VR games available right now. I highly recommend it. It does have a little bit of a learning curve, but hopefully this video has helped with that. After watching a video like this, you should be in a great position to enjoy the game, not get too panicked when walkers come at you. There's something you can do with walkers' guts. I'm not going to go into details, but that's a part of the game you'll find out pretty early. Keep it in mind, experiment. Bells are about to ring, so I'm just going to wait for the bells here. And you'll hear what those sound like. And then we'll call it a day. Maybe we'll pick up some scrap. I don't think is there any scrap on the ground? Oh, now we're in dire straits, but at least we got some scrap. So our pistol turned into scrap there because it broke. Bells are about to go. We'll just stay at the entrance to the skiff here and watch and listen. So we've got 2 walkers over there. You always want to keep track, if you can, of where the walkers are. They've alerted to us, and we literally have no weapons. Not sure if we can kill this guy with anything. I've never done this, but I'll try with one of these. That's not working. So we're going to push him back. I have pushed them into the swamp before, or the flood. And sometimes they can get stuck. You're not getting stuck. But that was the bells. Music's going to start now. Ominous music. No, they're not stuck. So we want to get out of here if we can. So we got the map. Resting place. So, I mean, if you're in trouble by the skiff, there's your answer. This takes us back to where we docked the skiff by the bus. At the end of the day, you can only go out in the daytime, or in the morning, I should say, if you pick up that map at the skiff at nighttime, it's going to tell you can't travel at night. So the only thing here to do now, unless there's a story item, and that happens sometimes, is to put your salvage in the recycling, see what you can craft it if you want, and then go to bed. So we're going to unload some things, which is our salvage. Goes in the recycling, tells us what we got from it. Our broken revolver goes in the recycling, tells us what we got, and I think that's about all we picked up. So there you have it, the basics of The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. If you enjoyed the video, if it was helpful, like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff is appreciated. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.